What if I told you Kashmir wasn't always a valley? According to one of India's oldest Puranas, this entire land was once a giant lake. For centuries, many believed this was only a myth, until modern geology reveals something extraordinary. It turns out Kashmir really was once a vast lake. So, what exactly did our ancestors know? I'm going to reveal the secret today in this video. Namaste and welcome to Chaturya. I'm K. Kumar, screenwriter and author of books like Naga, Daiva, Dakini and Rakshasa. This is the third episode of my Naga series, and today we'll journey into one of the most fascinating origin stories in Indian tradition, a story preserved in the Nilamata Purana, enriched by local folklore but intriguingly echoed by modern geology. We'll discover how an ancient lake became the Kashmir Valley and why the Naagas became its first guardians, and some recent archaeological discoveries which may shock you. I've written in detail about the creation story of Kashmir in my book Naga, now available in bookshops as well as on Amazon and Flipkart. And if you want to purchase it, I'm providing a link in the description below. And as always, this episode is divided into chapters, so feel free to jump to any section using the timestamps below. And if you're passionate about the hidden history, forgotten traditions, and sacred geography of Bharat, consider subscribing to this channel and hype this video so that it reaches maximum people. Today, when we think of Kashmir, we imagine snow-capped mountains, crystal clear rivers, and lush green meadows. It is difficult to imagine that this entire valley would have been once submerged beneath thousands of feet of water or ice. But that is exactly what modern geology tells us. Millions of years ago, as the mighty Himalayas continued to rise, the Pir Panjal mountain range acted like a gigantic natural barrier, trapping water inside what is now known as the Kashmir Valley. And over time, this formed an enormous freshwater lake that would have stretched across the entire valley. Geologists have found thick deposits of ancient lake sediments known as the Karevas spread across Kashmir, and these deposits preserve fossil, pollen, and other evidence of a landscape that existed long before the valley took its present form. And eventually, the waters found an outlet through the mountains near present-day Baramulla or Varahamula. And as the lake slowly drained over thousands of years, it revealed the valley that we know today. In geological terms, this transformation took place over an immense span of time. But what is truly remarkable is this. Long before geology became a science, long before satellite imagery, the people of Kashmir had already preserved a memory of this vanished landscape. Not in a scientific manuscript, but in one of the oldest scriptures of the region, the Nilamata Purana. And according to that ancient tradition, this great lake had a name, Satisaras. Satisaras means the lake of Devi Sati. Imagine Kashmir not as a valley, but as an immense inland lake surrounded on all sides by towering white mountains. There were no villages, no people, no orchards, no shikaras, nothing. Only endless waters reflecting the Himalayan sky. And according to the Nilamata Purana, these waters were not empty. They were the sacred home of the Naagas. The serpent race lived beneath these waters in a magnificent realm filled with radiant jewels and divine splendor. The leader was Neela Naaga. The Purana is named after him. But why did they choose this place? Now, according to regional law, the Naagas once faced a grave danger. Their eternal enemy, their cousin Garuda, relentlessly hunted them across the three worlds. Seeking protection, Neela Naaga approached Bhagavan Vishnu and pleaded for a place where his people, the Naagas, could live in peace. Moved by their request, Vishnu declared Satisaras as a sacred refuge. Within its waters, Garuda would have no dominion. For countless years, the Naagas flourished beneath the lake. But peace never lasts forever. From the depths of this sacred lake, a terrible, evil force was about to emerge. A being so powerful that even the gods could not defeat him. His name was Jalodbhava, the one born from the waters. Through years of severe penance, Jalodbhava obtained a remarkable boon from Brahma. As long as he remained inside the water, no god, no weapon, and no force in the three worlds could destroy him. And protected by this extraordinary boon, Jalodbhava grew arrogant. He turned the peaceful waters of Satisaras into his fortress, and from there, he terrorized the surrounding lands, attacking sages, destroying settlements, and spreading fear across the region. The Nagas vowed to defend their sacred home, but there was little they could do. because as long as the demon remained within the lake, within the water, he was invincible. Neela Naaga was desperate to save his subjects. He sought the help of his father, the great sage Kashyapa. Deeply moved by their suffering, Kashyapa performed intense penance and invoked the Trimurti, Srishtikarta Brahma, Bhagavan Vishnu and Mahadeva Shiva. The gods appeared, but they also faced the same problem. Jalodbhava refused to leave the water, and while he remained inside the waters, he could never be defeated because of that boon, which meant there was only one solution. If evil could not be removed from the lake itself had to disappear. To overcome Jalodbhava's extraordinary boon, Bhagavan Vishnu turned to his eternal companion, Ananta Shesha, about whom we discussed in the previous episode. If you have not watched it, the link is somewhere here. So Bhagavan Vishnu calls Ananta Shesha, the endless serpent who supports the universe. Armed with his mighty Hala, the divine plough, Ananta approached the western mountains of the Himalayas that enclose Satisaras. Then, with a single earth-shaking strike, he split open the mountain barrier. The waters of Satisaras surged through the newly formed opening, rushing towards the plains below. And slowly, the great lake began to disappear. And as the waters receded, the bottom of the lake emerged for the very first time. And with his protective waters gone, Jalodbhava's boon vanished. The demon, the Asura, attempted to cover the land in darkness. But Mahadeva Shiva illuminated the sky with the brilliance of the sun and the moon. Now vulnerable, Jalodbhava was finally destroyed by Bhagavan Vishnu, bringing peace back to the land. Now according to this Purana, this is how Kashmir Valley was born. Now here's what makes this story truly fascinating, because modern science has something to support this. Modern geologists believe that the ancient lake occupying Kashmir gradually drained through a breach near present-day Baramulla, where the waters escaped the enclosed basin over thousands of years. And this Purana tells the story differently. It remembers the same transformation through the language of myth and lore. Where geology speaks of mountains, rivers, and erosion, the Purana speaks of Ananta Shesha, the divine plough, and the triumph of Dharma over Adharma. Two very different ways of remembering the birth of the sacred landscape. With the waters of Satisaras gone, a new land emerged, rich, fertile, and ready for life. And according to the Nilamata Purana, sage Kashyapa invited people to settle in this newly revealed valley. But there was one problem. The Naagas didn't want to share their home. So the god said, Naagas will have to share their land with the Pishajas. Now this was even more dangerous. So after much discussion, a sacred agreement was reached. Humans would be allowed to live in the valley, provided they respected the rivers, springs, forests, and the Naagas who protected them. This agreement became the foundation of Kashmir's earliest sacred traditions. It even describes a seasonal festival celebrating the first snowfall, the blooming of flowers, the sowing of seeds, and the changing of seasons. Nature was not seen as a resource. It was treated as a living member of the community. What's fascinating is that archaeology tells us the newly formed Kashmir Valley soon became home to some of the earliest settled communities in the Himalayas. At sites like Barzahom and Gufral, archaeologists have uncovered pit dwellings, polished bone tools, evidence of farming, and settlements dating back thousands of years. These discoveries reveal that soon after the valley became habitable, people began building one of the oldest continuous cultures in the region. Whether viewed through the lens of archaeology or through the Nilamata Purana, both tell the story of the land transformed from water into one of the greatest cradles of civilization. Today, the great lake of Satisaras is gone. In its place stands one of the most beautiful valleys in the world. But the memory of that ancient lake never completely disappeared. It still survives in the names of the places. Across Kashmir, many of the oldest freshwater springs are still called Naga, Very Nag, Kokar Nag, Anant Nag. These aren't random names. The word Nag recalls the ancient belief that these life-giving springs were protected by the Nagas. For our ancestors, water was never just water. A spring wasn't simply a source of fresh water. It was sacred. It was alive. And by placing the Nagas as its guardians, they ensured that these precious waters were respected rather than exploited. Perhaps this is the real legacy of the Nilamata Purana. Not simply the story of an asura or a disappearing lake, but a civilization that understood something remarkably profound. Long before the words like ecology or environmental conservation existed, our ancestors in Kashmir had already woven these ideas into stories, rituals, and sacred geography. When a spring is the home of a Naga, we protect it. And when an entire valley is remembered as sacred, it becomes more than just a landscape. It becomes a responsibility. Perhaps that is why the story of Satisaras still matters today. Not because it asks us to look into the past, but because it reminds us how we should care for the land beneath our feet. Now, you have to tell me, how did the region get its name, Kashmir? Tell me in the comments below. And if you'd like to explore more hidden stories from the Puranas, sacred geography, and the extraordinary world of serpent worship, you can find them in my book Naga, available through the link in the description below. If you like this journey into the forgotten history of Kashmir, share this video with someone who loves India's ancient traditions. And don't forget to hype this video so that it reaches more people. So until next time, may the Nagas be with you.